evening, everyone, and welcome to another installment of Prospero in Bermuda with your host, Stephen. Tonight, something a little different. Something very, very indulgent. We finished the Jesus Hoax, and we're about to move on. But tonight, I want to read you a story that I wrote. Yes, I wrote it. Ooh. We have a little annual Christmas contest here in Bermuda. It's with our local newspaper. The stories must be local, no more than 1,500 words, on some kind of Christmas theme. Now, I have placed in the contest before, but in recent years, I've been finding that I'm not getting anywhere. And I've written, in the last few years, I was going through them, and I've gone with uplifting, I've gone with funny, I've gone with magical, I've gone with earnest, and really the only one that ever got any traction, funny, sort of. No, I found a different one funny, but apparently they thought the one that I placed, I've never won. I've come, the second is the highest I've ever come. And then one that I thought was one of the best things I'd written was about my mom's cat. That got honorable mention. That was kind of the magically one. Anyway, in the grand theme of this, of my channel and the direction that I've been taking it with readings like the Jesus Hoax and upcoming Nietzsche and Julius Evola and so on. I wrote a story that is not Christmassy, really. It takes place at Christmas, but it is completely not in keeping with what is expected in this contest. There is, I would wager, a 0% chance that this story will be selected. I think it's a shame, but, you know, particularly because I know some of the people on the committee, and I know that at least one or two of them have a certain amount of cynicism when it comes to at least the religious aspect of Christmas themes. And, but it's a little, it's not, this story definitely is the anti-ethos of what is generally intended. I even went so far as to practically guarantee it by taking out any references that I had originally contained that were explicit in regard to places. I make a reference to a beach, that's fine, in Bermuda, but the names of a grocery store, of a school, of a pottery shop, just, I don't know. I thought it best to leave those out, but just in case it somehow did get selected and somebody wasn't happy about it. But again, I don't think it's going to be selected, and by taking the names out, I've even lowered the chances. But my long-suffering readers or listeners, you, my dearie things, if you continue to watch, you are going to have to... Oh no, there goes my advent calendar. Oh, and there goes my decoration. Boy, everything's falling down there. That went that. And, oops. Boy, I didn't do that very well at all, did I? See, I've got my advent calendar here. I say, I don't care how old I get, I'm never too old for an advent calendar. Santa Claus. The idea of Christmas is always so much better than the real thing. So, right, my ghouls, I call this horrific little Hobart gem home for the holidays. Some of you might be old enough to realize I just did a Tales from the Crypt reference. All right, from now on, I'm reading it off my screen. It is the night before Christmas, and all through the house, unfolding family obligations recall the battered, faded wings of a papier-mâché angel I made in kindergarten. Tonight, We are celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ on a silent night in Bethlehem, the Savior of all mankind. That is, if you believe the mainstream official narrative. Humanity is busy atomizing according to tribe and ideology over what is real and what is fake news. It is Christmas 2024, in the age of Aquarius, the Kali Yuga, the AI awakening, with an algorithm to cater for every echo-chambered, manufactured anxiety. All too real is the phony jocularity at home, the tired convention of spending my precious holiday time with people I barely communicate with during the year. Figuring out what gifts to offer them is a bitter reminder we have nothing in common but mutual apathy. I have a better idea what my favorite cashier at the grocery store would like, and I got it for her, than whatever Gen Z fad my nephew, the only child, is into these days. Especially now that he has started university overseas and has picked up that trendy vocal affectation of sounding both chronically anxious and terminally bored. Gee, thanks for my present, Mike. Yet another electronic ping notifies the entire room, and my languid nephew responds with sudden energy, tossing his gift aside to scrutinize the filtered assets of his latest hookup app match. The dog wags her tail, sensing a potential treat within reach, and sniffs at it, hopeful yet prudent, displaying high empathy and emotional intelligence. I scratch her ears for being such a good dog and wonder, not for the first time, whether I would enjoy my nephew's company more if he dyed his hair blue and claimed his own pronouns. At least they would then have an intriguing uniform and code of conduct. We might discover topics to discuss, like whether we should even celebrate Christmas or instead defer to Kwanzaa. I would rather be known amongst his friends as the problematic uncle than just Mike. He dropped the uncle the first time he beat me at arm wrestling. Another conventional title discarded with Christmas hanging on by a thread. We are opening presents this year on Christmas Eve instead of the morning of December 25th, on account of my brother-in-law Ben, who happens to be Jewish and prefers to open presents in the evening. After a disastrous first dinner together in 2017, a wine-fueled political discussion about Gaza resulted in Ben calling us a deplorable basket of anti-Semites. The family unanimously agreed that aiming to appease my brother-in-law is our best chance at peace on earth and tikkun olam over the holidays. Mollified by a combination of rum cake and secular carols, he seems more in the spirit this year and is even wearing a festive sweater with nativity scene stitching, replete with an oversized Star of David hovering above the Holy Family. In the high corner of the room sits my mother, Chloe, enthroned on her electronic wheelchair and wreathed in cigarette smoke. Her name means young green foliage. Do not be fooled. My nature-loving grandparents had no idea what would take root when they named her, this nicotine-addicted cactus, capable of shooting her needles and spitting venom gleefully like some mythological gorgon. Today is our camel-smoking matriarch's favorite time of year, when the family of obsequious magi arrived with crammed jewelry boxes, exotic scents and threads to pay tribute. In return, she is generosity personified, doling out scalpel-sharp jokes about the sorry state of our aging bodies and ailing finances, edited and no doubt rehearsed in front of her makeup artist mirror in anticipation of this annual humiliation ritual. I never knew my father. He died while my mother was pregnant with me, and my little sister was the product of Chloe's first and only marriage to an Italian cruise ship navigator who apparently looked great in tennis shorts during the 80s, but then ran off with a much younger facsimile of Mom named Mimi. My father was a singer of some talent, and my mother enjoys insinuating to visitors, including those who have heard it 100 times and already know better, that her mysterious first lover was Elvis Presley. The math does not add up, but my mother has never been one to let facts get in the way of her appropriated accomplishments. My father's only real connection to the king is that he, too, was found unalive on the toilet at a fairly young age. A copy of Nietzsche's Will to Power still clutched in my dad's right hand. So much for the Übermensch, but he could sing. An old scrapbook my mother keeps in the basket underneath her chair reveals grainy, coloured shots of a carefree, outdoorsy type in his early 20s, who looks like I did 20 years ago, but with the hairstyles and clothing that personified the 80s and makes everyone look like an expendable character in the Friday the 13th slasher films. Ben hands me an envelope. Merry Christmas, Mike. I have just presented my offering to Mom, a tea set from her favorite local island shop, despite already owning 3 others and having not thrown a tea party since her days hosting Rage Readers, a feminist book club that aged out and disbanded in the early 2000s, missing out on Gloria Steinem's cancellation and witnessing biology decolonized. Ben's envelope contains no greeting card, just a slim wad of pastel-colored local currency. My life choices weighed and quantified in fish, flowers, and a deceased monarch. To help with your business, Mike. I hear it's been a rough year for you. Food is expensive these days. Sentence passed, I see the side of his mouth twitch, a curl of the lip, a half smile. My sister shifts awkwardly, pretending not to notice the exchange, and instead feigns interest in her son's new Fitbit. Oblivious to all around him, another ping and sorcels, that jaded technocrat. A hacking cough erupts from the heavily bejeweled, wheelchair-bound figure, that a wheezing chuckle laced with arsenic and 1,000 other carcinogens. For an eternal second, I am standing on a beach on the south shore, but the tide has receded to the horizon. Fish flop and writhe in their death throes. Coral reefs are exposed to a cruel sky, naked and ashamed. The horizon appears starless and endless void, but it is the tsunami wall coming toward me, roaring, wailing, hurtling ever louder as it approaches. Well, isn't that nice? Just what you need, isn't it, Mike? What do you say to Ben for his kind gift? The smart TV, providing background music from the next room, selects this moment to have Ariana Grande begin a stylized, updated version of Silent Night for modern audiences. Ben crouches to pet the dog, leaning over so far that the star in his sweater covers the nativity scene entirely. My nephew continues tapping on his phone, smirking and muttering something to himself, his sleeveless arms leaving traces of body stains on the white upholstery. I picture the absent father who was never there and the fake one who was but ran away. My sister has lost interest in the envelope of cash still in my hand and moved to the hallway mirror, holding up and comparing outfits she already picked out as gifts from high-end shops in town. I am suddenly aware of the last ribbon loosening, the tether that has bound me for years, that has kept me in place, tied in knots, gaslighting me to believe my inability to find peace or move forward was the result of intrinsic laziness, character defects, and a sinful nature that thwarted my real father from manifesting a beautiful plan for my life. Approaching the Christmas tree, I remove the angel decoration I made in kindergarten, and I have crowned atop the tree each year for as long as I can remember. I crumple this angel in my hands, feeling her tissue paper tear apart and then crash silently to the floor. I turn and face my family, the wall of water roaring toward me faster than sound. I step forward to meet the wave head-on, greeting fate and destiny like old friends reunited. In return for this act of acceptance, the wave passes through me, harmlessly, without impact. Behind it, now springing to life in vivid full bloom, is a lush, endless grove containing vineyards, laughter, and music. Familiar figures dance uninhibited to a lute, whose living notes glide and weave among the dancers, nourishing all with energy eternal. My friends wave a joyous greeting, and I recognize all their faces as memories glimpsed only briefly when I dream. Above this fertile scene shines the morning star. Without a backward glance, I exit the simulation and hasten up the wooded path toward my true home for the holidays. 1,498 words. The end. Well, just so we're clear, as you know, my name's not Mike, and I don't have a mother named Chloe in a wheelchair, or absent dads, or a sister, or anything. It's all fiction, although it was in the first person. Well, there you go. Ta-da! Well, cliches abound and all that, but I had... Yes, I'm glad I wrote that. Yeah. Maybe somebody that likes the kind of stuff that I've been reading lately might get something out of this. It's not the sort of thing that would appeal. My father thinks it's dreadful. He hates it. He absolutely hated it. He thought it was sick. And he's, bless his heart, he's still very traditional, church-going man. And so, yeah, he didn't get all the Matrix stuff or anything he just he didn't quite get it, but he knew something was wrong. He didn't get any of the references to morning stars or anything like that, but something was wrong, or unalived, or all little things that, little Easter eggs, modern audiences, little Easter eggs for people that understand YouTube and the internet might pick up on. But anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So with that, I leave you all, and I bid thee, Hail Dionysus, until next time. Peace.